If you have an opportunity to create a super team as an organization, you do it. You always take that swing. I mean, make sure you set it up the right way. Make sure you've done your homework. Make sure it's got the potential to be a legitimate super team, like this version of the Brooklyn Nets, and not the Paul Pierce, KG, way past their prime squad that they tried to pull a fast one on back in the day. Try to pull a fast one on the entire world back in the day. Not like that. Don't build it like that. But if you want to take a shot, build it like this. If you have the option, like the Nets did when James Harden became available, always shoot that shot. I say this because, yes, in getting a talent like the Beard to join forces with KD and Kyrie, yes, you have to deplete your roster and give up lots of future assets. I understand that. That can be tough. But the talent of Harden alone is worth that. And you'll always get opportunities to build around these guys because you'll have guys willing to jump on the wagon at a lesser cost to be a part of a team that can win it all. So not only do you get a true superstar like Harden, you always get an opportunity to bring in other dudes who will sacrifice financial means and accept less to hoop with superstars. You get some added value. Latest case in point. The Nets are going to sign Blake Griffin, according to various reports. Yes, Blake has made up his mind after coming to a buyout agreement with the Pistons, and amongst several so-called contenders, he actually picked, in my opinion, the contender to the Lakers' throne. And yes, I've come around to that when it comes to the Nets. And he's doing it for, of course, at a reduced rate, a bargain for Brooklyn. So exactly what does that mean? It could be a win-win for the Nets, regardless of how this plays out on the floor. Like, they lose nothing if this guy is the shot fighter that he's appeared to be in the majority of his time the last couple of years. If this guy plays that kind of ball, there's still no harm, no foul. He's out, you keep moving. I mean, nothing ventured, nothing lost. Now, what happens if Blake Griffin accepts what he is and what he has become? What if he finds a role that he can carve out, some kind of niche, and he contributes? Then maybe he can help them. Maybe they become an even bigger threat to LeBron and AD. The question, though, is, can Blake Griffin do that? I mean, superstars have super egos. And what this guy still has left in the tank, what he still has left on the floor is worth examining. I mean, we are talking about a guy who used to dunk over Kias, light up the league with his explosiveness. This guy has not thrown down in a game once since 2019. That is one of the most incredible stats I've ever seen in sports. Blake Griffin, at one time, was one of the most explosive athletes ever. And this guy has not dunked a basketball since 2019. I mean, CP3 is now the bigger vertical threat of what was once formerly known as Lob City than Blake Griffin? I mean, how hilarious and insane is that? So the question is, can Blake swallow his pride? Can he change his game? Can he embrace a new role altogether? Normally, I would say there's no chance. Not this late in a guy like that's career. But maybe he can. Maybe he can. Others have. Maybe he can too. In fact, I could even point to a case that would be even more unlikely. And it happened just last year. This is why I'm saying it's possible for Blake Griffin to change. Possible for a guy like that to accept who he is. Because a guy who changed his identity did so completely and did it only a year ago and actually played a very important role in the Lakers ripping the Larry O. I draw inspiration from one Dwight David Howard, or better known around here as Dwight the Enforcer. My favorite role player ever. Well, after Alex Caruso. But I still love Dwight the Enforcer. I loved what he did to himself and what he did for the Lakers last season in the bubble. When nobody gave Dwight any chance to change who he was or what he did on the floor, he did exactly that. My guy became an enforcer and brought the Lakers some much-needed toughness and he never made it about himself. It was all about team. Like, in fact, I would even say one of the more selfish guys ever actually transformed himself into one of the most unselfish ever last year. Literally. This guy actually transformed himself. He changed. And no, I'm not saying that Blake needs to become Blake the Enforcer. He tried that once, remember? He tried that back in the day at a Toronto restaurant when he gave that Clippers employee who was half his size the hands and ended up missing 2 months because of it. Still, arguably the worst look ever. Yeah, and by the way, Blake, don't do that again. Don't do that ever again. What I'm saying, though, is maybe he can find himself a role in Brooklyn where he can help like Dwight did with the Lakers. Or hell, even Melo in Portland. Woj is already saying, and it does make sense, that Blake will play as a reserve 5 for the Nets, meaning he has already started to accept being a role player. And for the first time in his life, is going to be good coming off the bench. That's a good start. Now, and yes, he'll never be anywhere near the finisher he was. He's had way too many knee procedures for that ever to happen again. We all agree on that. But does he have other tools which he can change? Maybe. Maybe. Like, give the guy this. The guy can pass. He's a really good passer. And now he's got the luxury of playing with elite scorers, playmakers, shooters, off-the-ball threats, guys like he's never had before. Basically the complete opposite of what he had in Detroit. So while, yes, he was taking more and more threes and missing more and more threes than ever in Detroit, he will now have much better looks than he's ever had. Ever. So what I'm saying is I can see this guy as a pick-and-roll guy with any of these big three, pop out for wide-open threes, get the ball to the open guy, play some backup 5 and 4 if necessary. I mean, honestly, this could work if the guy has anything left at all in the tank. And the Nets do need more big man depth. Now, defense, that's a different deal. He does add some versatility, but that's about it. But then again, the Nets do have a few trade options to add because they gave up nothing for Griffin. So there is value here. I like the decision for Brooklyn. The question is, can Blake change? And apparently he's starting. And he better continue to do so if he wants to be a champion. And if Blake doesn't change, then he'll be out of a gig on a title contender, and another coworker might be ducking another fist to the face from a frustrated fighter. Blake, do not blow the opportunity. It's a great one. It is a great opportunity. Do not blow the opportunity, man. Don't throw that away.